Welcome to From Scratch. I am your host, Teresa Hodge. I'm super excited to be back. If you have not already had an opportunity to meet these amazing guests, I invite you to tune in to From Scratch 101, where you'll have an opportunity to meet them directly. But one of the things I think we all have in common is the fact that we do advocacy, community work.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is for me, leaning into the fact that I have a conviction is, I feel like it's my superpower, right? I wasn't afforded the opportunity for prison to be my dirty little secret, right? And to carry that shame around and being able to walk and talk about the fact that I have a record and this work, it kind of is therapeutic for me. And not to mention that the day I was released from prison, my daughter posted on Facebook, "The Queen is coming back."
That's right.
So the Queen had to decide, am I going to, be embarrassed when my daughter wasn't embarrassed? And so for me, I leaned into advocacy, not just for myself, but I had to lean into it for her because she was still proud of me. And as a mom, that was amazing. And so, I'm just grateful that we do this work together. But let's talk about, you guys and the advocacy work that you're doing. You talked about how 3 weeks after you left prison, you were back into prison.
Yeah.
And I take my hat off to you because let me tell you right now, I don't feel like I'm going back in nobody's prison, like ever.
Not going.
Yeah, I'll send my money, I'll support you. When they say go back into prison, I start itching a little bit. So, but talk about the advocacy work you're doing and why is that important and how has it helped your journey?
Yeah, I would say that, well, metaphorically, going back inside was like going back into a burning building, right? But I understood that it was a lot of men and women that's still in those crypts. So advocacy for me, it started in the inside, right? Understanding that I had a voice and a way to be able to articulate myself. I know that communication is very effective in expressing whatever the situation that need to be brought to light and to whom. And so advocacy started inside, and I'll just highlight this real quick because my part of my freedom of being here was predicated on an opportunity to advocate for the very bill where a hearing was held based on this bill, which was the Second Look Act, when they were expanding the age, when DC Council decided to expand the age of eligibility from 18 to 25, they came inside DC jail on the program unit while I was incarcerated as a founding, one of the mentors. Both Cole and I mentored in that space. We had the opportunity. They had a hearing. It was called the IRA 3.0. IRA stands for the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act. Charles Allen, one of the city councilmen in D.C., and a representative of every city councilman in D.C. was present, along with Georgetown law professors and a whole host of others, came inside that space, a carceral space, where incarcerated men, 4 guys who had been in over 20 years, and 4 of the young guys we were mentoring, offering them the opportunity to advocate for their voices to be heard on why they thought that legislation should be passed. And I'm grateful as a result to be the first one released under that bill.
Wow.
So advocacy for me is important, right? And I just always, share with the young guys we were mentoring that giving you a voice gives you power. Having a platform gives you more power. So whenever you got a opportunity to speak up and speak out, and you're a representative of the very people that you're speaking on behalf, then that's advocacy in action. And so that continues on even after my release. Always been, invited to social gatherings and events where there's a diverse group of people across the spectrum from the criminal justice field and so many other areas. I'm still constantly representing the men who are still in those places, right? And so showing up and being representative is a way to advocate in action, because I'm walking the very walk that I was walking when I was in the inside.
So what I also hear from you is like a sense of responsibility,
Yep.
As well, in addition to empowerment for yourself.
Yep.
How about you, Coley?
I think my passion for advocacy extended, especially when I refer back to that time when I was in solitary, and one of the most powerful. I read a quote out of Dr. Viktor Frankl's book, Man, Search for Meaning, right? And I read it that one time, and it stuck with me immediately. You're talking about, and this is the preface of the book. It says that people waste their life in pursuit of happiness and success, when happiness and success is not something that is meant to be pursued, but it's something that ensues. It follows you when you give yourself to a cause that's greater than yourself. So me having this opportunity to advocate for the people inside, it's not only empowerment, but it is a success story, and I get happiness. I get a sense of fulfillment. I get a sense of adding meaning to my suffering that I went through, like what he said, as being a voice for those who don't have a voice. I feel like it's my duty, like when you're in the prison yard, something goes on, you always be on the front line, standing with these who represent whatever that cause you represent, having this opportunity, of going to school, being a successful contributor to society. I feel that it's my obligation, to do these things, because these guys have the same passion, they have the same capacity to do those things. So anytime you celebrate my success, it's just as advocacy that this woman, like you say, she just want an opportunity to be a mother again for a child. So if you think I'm doing great, this sister, this brother has the same capacity, the same desire, and deserve the opportunity to do that thing. So I feel that's how I get happiness.
Wonderful. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's important. When I think of advocacy, I think one of the very first mission statements I made about advocacy was I want to be a voice for the voiceless, right?
Right.
But I did a presentation at the FJC, and this old man, gentleman had probably served 47 years, is what he told me. He was old, like 72, 74, healthy, but old. Came up to me after my presentation and said, "You don't speak for the voiceless. You speak for the silenced." And that was, wow. It was a moment where I was like, wow. To say an individual is voiceless.
Because most of us have voice speech.
Yeah. I speak for those who have been silenced. And so advocacy for me is a part of who I am. It's a part of my fabric. I grew up in prison in a world where all of my peers, teachers, and mentors were older than me. And so I was raised by these men, raised by lifers essentially, and they would pull me under their wing and they'd say, you can feed yourself and you can become strong, but you're not a leader until you feed others. So advocacy represents, especially for us being formerly incarcerated, it represents us holding on to the rope that keeps us grounded, that keeps us moving forward, that keeps us anchored. So I think it's very important.
Do you think it's necessary for everyone who comes home? Because I don't want everyone to come home feeling like this is the formula they have to follow. What we're trying to show here on From Scratch is there are multiple ways to come home and to connect to whatever will make you happy, whatever will make you successful. And so, does everyone have to come home and do advocacy?
I don't think so. I don't want no people that's still inside to have this sense of pressure. Like when I come home, I gotta live your journey. And by you living your journey and sustaining that journey, you advocating without even speaking. So man, live your life.
I like that silent advocacy.
That's silent advocacy.
Yeah, like what he said, and go back to kind of like what I was speaking on earlier. That's advocacy in action. Like if you just representative of walking the straight line. That right there, because when you think about it, you're helping to chip away that stereotypical concept that's in most people's minds of what they think of the likelihood of an individual being successful after returning from any term of imprisonment. You anytime you representative and doing the exact opposite, you're chipping away and shattering that stereotypical concept that's in most people's minds. So that right there, you're advocating. You're being expressive and you're showing by example what it means to be able to take a full advantage of your second chance and to walk a straight line and live that new life as the new version of you.
Talk about community work as a whole. It doesn't have to be, advocacy, but just kind of re-engaging back into community in a positive way. Do you have any examples, of that? Because I feel like for most people, if you can come home and anchor yourself around something, whether it's advocacy work, faith-based work, in some places where maybe even you can't vote, but just, working, state voting stations, but community work as a whole. Can you talk about any of the community work that you've done that you have found to be meaningful?
Yeah, no, I can. I stepped out of government in 2017, and I founded an organization in Delaware that was exclusively for peers, led by peers, because it's one of those things that in Delaware specifically, there was no organization that was comprised exclusively of people that have been directly impacted, formerly incarcerated. So I sought to create that space. And what I discovered was that when you provide people with a platform to have a community, they not only feel stronger together, but they feel stronger around a set of ideals. And they push together, and you find this set of solutions that's created as a result of this collective energy, because we're all stronger together. And so having a nonprofit, by the time I was done, we had an ambient census of about 96 people a single day in housing and another 45 in programming and all of these different dimensions. And when you have that level of activity, it simulates a compound. It simulates movement, right? And so guys and ladies in this program felt at home in this community that we created, and they therefore were able to make better decisions. They were able to thrive. They were able to support each other. And then you find, like Mike, Coley, myself, I come home. Mike's already been working. Coley's got a job doing this. The moment I come home, I'm asking Coley, yo, where you work? Mike, what are you doing? Can they hire me? Immediately you find connection to the world. So that community advocacy is part and parcel to my success. And I also attribute that to the energy of being able to build community around us, because it's so difficult. You come home, all of a sudden the community that you've lived with for 5, 10, 15, 20 years is gone. You have to transition out here, and it's almost like you're a foreigner in this land anymore.
What's interesting, what I heard was how you created kind of safe space, brave space, community. And for a lot of people, when we come home, the concept of family is different for all of us.
Yeah.
You also create family in places like that.
Yeah.
And I think, having new community, new places and spaces and faces, quite frankly, where you can be around folks helps you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, switch, about books.
Books.
One of the things I feel like I have not read, like obviously when you're in prison, I used to always say that I think, prisons kept Amazon alive because, I've never seen so many people read so many books, in one place. And I miss reading. Just don't have the time like I used to do. Don't make the time.
Right.
I guess I have the time. Don't make it.
Yeah.
But books. What's your favorite book? And do you still read? Not probably like, the book a day or a book a week that we used to be able to do, but.
Yeah. So you talking to a self-proclaimed bookworm. So that reading for me was, and I was real quick, was one of the ways that I was able to teleport through time and space and step outside the confines of my restriction, right, being incarcerated. But it became this vehicle. And not only was I picking up new vocabulary, it's increasing my ability to be able to articulate myself, but it was a constructive way to pass time and to inform myself, right? So, I love reading. It was my pastime, one of my favorite pastimes. And my favorite book, and I got many, but one that I've read multiple times, cover to cover, and because of what's in it, right, the content, right, it's not just about Think and Grow Rich. You got two versions, right? You got the one by Napoleon Hill, right? But the one, Think and Grow Rich, a black choice by Dennis Kimbrough, who picked up the work of Napoleon Hill for the Napoleon Hill Foundation when he passed. He was going to write that version because he wanted to speak about the unique trajectory of black culture in America. So Dennis Kimbrough, because his name was ringing at the time, he was chosen by the Napoleon Hill Foundation to write that book. And so it's more than giving you a philosophy of wealth. It says so much, like, of helping individuals to really be reflective of who they are, the resiliencies that they possess, and really showing the commonality and a common thread that everyone possess if you're a human being, in spite of the diversity and ethnicity and background. The way he's saying, like, if anything, that because of our pathway and our history in this country, we should be just as much more stronger and at the forefront of being able to succeed and prosper, right? But it's a lot of history in there. It's a lot of lessons. But that's the reason why I really like that book. And when I'm asked that, I can't go past without mentioning Think and Grow Rich by Dennis Kimbrough.
And it's so interesting because the Think and Grow Rich as a whole is like timeless. It's an old book and it's timeless. So I'll add not only bookworm but philosopher, to your category.
I've been told that before by a Georgetown professor.
Okay, all right, and maybe a Georgetown associate over here as well. So, how about you? Favorite book?
I was weighing that because I have two books. So if I had to pick which one, Mike Woody said thinking. I was going to say James Allen as a man thinking. That was my go-to. But
Y'all so deep.
I know.
I read some crazy stuff, like, Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, that's a good pass.
Good, nice little life.
That's a good pass. But back to
Sleepless in Seattle, like, it's light-hearted stuff.
Yeah.
But
those are good books. If I had to pick those,
Turned into a movie, though.
yeah, that's right.
But I think a fictional book that really has like real life implications was The Alchemist.
I love that book.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite books, and that's even because the central theme of it, and it resonates with me, and like I could tell what y'all, it says that it always says like whenever you want something so badly, the universe conspires to help you get it.
Yeah.
And acts you like self-manifestation. If you can see it, you can achieve it. Just go do it. And don't be afraid to be, to release what you're used to in pursuit of something that's unknown. Because that's sometimes your greatest treasures find you. So that's what I got out of that book. So.
You know what y'all should do? Some meditation, inspiration. I'm gonna come back and tap you guys for some of that. Yeah. How about you?
It's interesting. I've been thinking the whole time which book.
You can say Eat, Pray, Love.
Eat, Pray, Love. The Notebook, right? The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene.
I thought one of them were going to say
When I picked that book up,
Of course.
I ended up digesting all of Robert Greene's books. The Art of Seduction, The 48 Laws of War, all of
33 Strategies.
the 33 Strategies, all of his series. Because what he does is he brings stories from all throughout history. It's not like this is how you accomplish. He's outlining circumstances and human nature through the storytelling tradition where individuals harnessed power this way, lost power that way, gained position this way in very sophisticated situations. We are storytellers. Our stories, our lives, our traditions are shared via story. So I'd say the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, is probably my favorite. It's one that I often lean back on next to only The Art of Seduction.
Wonderful. So I know I read once that the 48 Laws of Power was the #1 book inside of a prison. And I outlined, just so happened I outlined a whole audio podcast on the 48 Laws of Power. So I'm going to invite you guys back because I know you guys have all read it, but I feel like that would be just such a good conversation because so many people have read that book.
But ironically, some prisons they banned 48 laws now, so you can't even read it now.
Yeah.
a lot of Robert Greene's books, because I had the 33 strategies, and when I was transferring to another spot in R&D, the officer saw it and he took it.
Wow.
But
Well, maybe I won't be doing my podcast.
Yeah, you gotta be strict.
The Art of War by
Yeah.
Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah. That one too. All right. So this has been really, really good. One of the things that I also want to just like encourage you guys, especially the two of you, since you guys are, like you're celebrating 18 months, 19
18
months,
months.
18 months, 29 months home, after spending so much time in prison. Like, I just want to encourage you to live and like let go of the fact that you have to do something else. Like just as you said, your success, your staying home is a form of advocacy. I think so often I've heard people talk about survivor's guilt associated with you got out and you left people behind, so therefore you feel like you have to keep doing stuff. But I just want to encourage you guys that, as you're just live and do you, whatever that means, whatever it looks like, get you back on the dating app. And, let's just have some fun out here. But thank you for all of the work that you've done and just being an inspiration. All of you, all of us, we are a reentry success story. And that's what we just want to highlight, that you can go to prison and some of your best days will be ahead of you.
Yeah, thank you for creating this platform.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I know this means a lot for so many people who got ears to be able to tune into this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me just shout out real quick, Teresa
Oh,
Hodge.
Lord.
Yeah,
Teresa Hodge. Because for real, when I was incarcerated, I would have given my right leg to see content like this.
Right.
People that were incarcerated, that are free, that are doing it, that are succeeding, that are out here balling till we fallen. And she created not only a platform, but a space and a sandbox.
Right.
For all of us to celebrate our experiences, to honor our journeys, and to come back into our community inside and feel a part of, right? So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to say this.
Oh Lord, if y'all gonna make me cry, don't even go there. I got my makeup fresh.
Okay, yeah.
You deserve your flowers.
I will say that this hearing this, and like he saw just said, is like when you hear the stories and you hear people who were in similar circumstances and you can hear it, it give hope to so many, and it would otherwise be a hopeless place.
Absolutely.
And I can see how this is a testament to the hope. There's something on the other side of that.
Absolutely.
So while they're in them places and time is seem to stand still or move slow, you hearing like, okay, this is what's happening, and it's a map. It's almost like a road map to be able to see in front of them.
Absolutely.
A possibility.
I can't be undone because I got to give you a praise.
Oh Lord. Here we go.
I
Okay.
just want to say thank you because it's so monumental that you're, for the brothers and sisters, you're letting them know that they're not forgotten.
Absolutely.
And I salute you for that because you know how it is out there. You don't get mail. Sometimes people don't accept your phone call. You got people out here that's not just advocating but glorifying your name, your presence, and letting you know you are still relevant. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Ball until we're falling.
All until we fall.
That's right.
Come on.